Salut tout le monde, welcome back to the channel. Okay, so I know you guys are tired of seeing this thing. I am tired too, but don't click off of my channel now. We're gonna have a problem, okay? I did not for the life of me want to talk about this. I don't like to talk about relationships. I don't like to talk about marriages, but I want to talk about some of these speculations, right? There are so many more about Jeannie than there were about Jeezy. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with Jeezy first. People are saying like he's not a family man. And I will have to say that I have to agree with that because the man had 3 baby mamas before Jeannie. And I believe Jeannie is now his number 4. His 4th one, but he's had 3 different relationships before that to where 3 children were conceived, and he did not stay in those relationships. So I will say I would have to agree with that. He's a 40-something-year-old man who's never been married, never was able to commit to somebody to that level before. So I think we can all agree that he's not the most family-oriented person on the face of this planet at his old ripe age of 40 something. And then the other thing that someone else said was that Jeezy got Jeannie to like put her guards down and he wanted to make her pay for that dark meat comment that she made on the reel, and it was all a plot because he wanted to make sure that he could show her that her side piece could be her main dish or something like that. I don't know how much truth there is to that. That's a lot of effort for someone to go through just to make somebody pay for a comment that they made. Again, people are vindictive. People have a lot of money to waste, so you never know. But I find this one to be a little bit far-fetched. But if that's what Jeezy did, that would be very cruel for someone to do something like this. But yeah, so believe it or not, that's about all that people were saying about Jeezy. But Jeannie, on the other hand, people were just like coming for Jeannie so much. I don't understand why she's getting so much backlash over this divorce. Like, first of all, Jeezy filed for divorce. So I am confused as to why Jeannie is getting the most hate out of this situation, and it's mostly coming from women. I just find this to be very interesting. There is something like literally so wrong with us. Like, it's most of her mean comments, all of the hatred that she's getting, all the backlash she's getting, she's being dragged by women. And I just find that to be so interesting. So people are saying that her dark meat comment was a problem. When she said that comment at the time, I was like, oh my gosh, Jeannie, why? But Jeezy knew about that comment, which is why people were speculating that he did all of that to make her pay for the comment because of the way he planned out the divorce for exactly 2 years, and he made sure he filed exactly 2 years. So people were saying like he planned it out. It was meticulously planned out just to make her pay for that comment. Again, I say that would be really, really weird. But that's the one thing. Another thing people were saying that Jeannie was a pick-me. But say she was a pick-me, is that cause for divorce? They were saying she was a pick-me because she didn't pay attention to Jeezy's track record. She thought she was going to be better than the other women just because she was not melanated. Let's say that was true. I think we can all agree that even though Jeannie thought she was going to be better, she really did have, well, maybe still do have love for Jeezy. I strongly believe, it's not a hill I'm willing to die on because it's Hollywood, but I do strongly believe that Jeannie loved Jeezy. You could see that this wasn't a calculated situation for her, and I'm gonna say this because if Jeannie was doing this with some ulterior motives outside of her really loving Jeezy, she would have gotten married in LA. She would have been a lot more protected in LA if she was worried about money, if she was going in there with her head, not her heart, which she should have been going in with her head because you're in Hollywood, you can't trust folks like that. But she would have gotten married in LA. She would have been a lot more protected financially. Come on now. I think she really did do this because she loves Jeezy and not because she was trying to get money out of him. Like, Jeannie's smart. I think we can all agree that Jeannie's smart, but even smart people make dumb decisions. And that was a dumb one, and simply because she made it out of love. This is what love will do. So, yeah, I say all this to say I don't necessarily think that the pick-me situation should have been a reason why, like, you know, Jeezy should have divorced her, or like people were just happy because she's getting her heart torn into pieces by the men she loved the most. Somebody said Jeannie just felt so loved that she bought into the whole thing. Because, yeah, like I said, Jeezy did the absolute most. Jeezy did the most from what Jeannie was showing. Jeezy didn't post her as much, but Jeannie, from whatever Jeannie was posting and all the stories that she was telling the girls at the reel and the rest of us, is that Jeezy was such a gentleman, you know, wined and dined her, and she just got swept off her feet, and she bought into the whole thing. So even if Jeezy was like plotting against her because of that whole dark meat comment, she would not have known because of the way that the situation was unfolding at the time. He put in the most effort, like, into getting to know her family, like the way he treated Mama Mai, according to Jeannie. There's no way she would have seen it coming, so she went in there with her whole entire heart. And then Jeannie also said that they did a lot of couple counseling before, like couple therapy, before they even like got serious, because, you know, right off the bat they noticed that they had a lot of trauma that they had to deal with before they could get into a relationship. So they decided to go to start couple counseling before they even got serious. And if you've ever dealt with a man, you know that's not a thing that they're gonna go for unless they really do want something serious, and that's one of the things that they have to work on, right? So he did all of that. I don't see how Jeannie would have been like, oh, he's gonna, you know, he's not serious, so he's gonna make me pay for something. The way Jeezy went about it was meticulously planned, and it was highly calculated. And people were coming for Jeannie also about her saying that she was going to become submissive. So a lot of women have a problem with being submissive, like the whole like submission situation. They have an issue with that. This submissive situation only works, I'm gonna go biblical, it only works if you believe in the good Lord. If your man does not believe in the good Lord to where he's gonna give his all to the good Lord, like he's supposed to submit to God so that he stays aligned with God. And if he stays aligned with God, then all of your best interests is going to have at heart. So it's not going to be in his agenda to hurt you, even if you were to submit to him, because he is connected to the Most High. Therefore, he's going to take care of you. He's going to be able to love you the right way. But if you just marry people, yes, they may love you, whatever, but you can't just go on a whole submission journey because you want to be that, and they're not even biblical. It's not gonna work. So people wanted to drag her for the whole submissive thing, but her heart was in the right place. It was just that if Jeezy does not believe in God, and he does not stay prayed up, he does not stay connected to God, then you're submitting to the wrong person. So the next thing people were dragging her for was they're speculating that the reason why Jeezy is divorcing Jeannie is because Jeannie's got a mouth on her. Jeannie is like 40-something years old, and so is Jeezy. And I'm sure Jeezy knew that Jeannie had a mouth on her before they got married. I'm not saying like someone having a mouth cannot be a problem, that it can't cause problems in a relationship, but like for you to go and divorce somebody after barely 2 years of marriage because you're saying their mouth is a problem, there's so much wrong with that, because I don't believe that it's because of her mouth. And Jeannie had said something along the lines of she didn't know she had a temper until Jeezy. No, ma'am, you never wanted to work on it until Jeezy. But I'm sure other people have called you out. I'm sure Freddie probably called you out, but Freddie may have been a pushover and he didn't want to press the issue because you overpowered him, like personality wise. So he just wanted to like He just wanted peace and he just left it alone. But I'm sure Freddie said something to Jeannie, as other people may have, because there's no way you're like 40 something years old and you don't know that you have a mouth on you. Like a friend would have told you, past boyfriends would have told you. I'm sure you've heard that before. Now, it depends on why Jeezy has a problem with Jeannie's mouth, because a lot of the times man will have a problem with your mouth, but it's really just for you standing up for yourself. When they do junk and you're not happy about it, they expect you to like calm down and let's blah blah blah. If you have something to say, then all of a sudden you got a mouth. If like a man goes and cheats and then you're like, you explode, all of a sudden you're the problem. No, I'm exploding, sir, because you went and slept with everybody and their mama, and now it's coming back to me. That's why I'm exploding. You don't get to control my mouth. You don't get to want to control somebody's reaction after you done did what you did. So if in that situation is where the mouth is a problem because Jeannie does not take Jeezy's crap or whatever the case is, then he wants to then gaslight her for saying something because then she says the wrong thing, and that's different. But if Jeannie's like being disrespectful, there can be conversations about it. Just like they went into therapy prior to them dating because they noticed that they had a lot of issues. I think the mouth thing could be something that they could have worked on if that was really an issue for Jeezy. Is it a problem? If it's true, is it a problem? Yes. But is it like a divorce thing? No, that's just one of those things you work on. That's not something you go behind somebody's back and file for divorce over. Now, there's another thing that Jeannie was being dragged for that I will say that I agree with. I agree with that part. I feel like Jeannie was wrong for that part. Not necessarily wrong, but she should have known better than to behave in this way. And I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, is the social media thing. Jeannie posted everything on social media. Jeannie talked about everything. Every single interview, every single day that she worked at The Real, that her and Jeezy came up, she gave all the details. Like, she just would not leave anything up for guessing. She just gave too much. She did too much on social media. She did post a lot about Jeezy, and she talked a lot about Jeezy in like every single interview. Like they would ask her a simple question, she would go in details. The sad thing about people in these comments is like every single interview where Jeannie went in about how much she loved Jeezy, about how good of a connection they have, about their relationship and how the health of their relationship and all that good stuff. They've never had anything to say about those things, but they're gonna keep talking about the comments that she made about having a mouth, and then they're gonna keep talking about like the dark meat comment that she made. Grow up. She made a dark meat comment. Everybody has preferences. Jeezy has her preference, okay? And so does Jeannie. Now, what I will say is that I wouldn't have said none of that out there in the public like that. But Jeannie can get carried away and she can let loose and she can talk about some weird stuff and she gets careless at times. But she also did a lot of positive interviews about her relationship with Jeezy, but you will never hear people talk about these. They will only talk about the negative. Next speculation. There are so many things about Jeannie. Y'all just don't like the girl. Oh my gosh. So people were saying like it's Jeannie's walking out because of Jeezy's walking out because of Jeannie's family. Now that is, to me, it's not a tricky thing. I personally do not believe in housing any family members, especially this early on in your marriage. I understand Jeannie's culture. That's what they do. Like everybody, like they're overbearing. Like Jeannie's mom is overbearing. Jeannie's mom is way too much. Now, I'm not saying you can't have your mom nearby, or you can't have your mom be close by in case you need her or whatever. But I had always found it weird that this woman was married to a man who lived in a whole different state, and she would just follow Jeannie everywhere. Even before Jeannie had Monaco and like was even married, like I always found that to be so weird. But that's their culture. And I don't know if Jeannie and Jeezy had that conversation prior to getting married, but that could be a tricky and very complicated thing to have your family member live with you as you're trying to get to know this person as your spouse, because the person you date is never the person you marry. You have got to give yourself time to get to know your spouse, and definitely the first, I will go as far as saying the first 10 years of your marriage is not the time for you to have anybody live with you, either from his side of the family or your side of the family. Y'all have enough money to where you could have gotten your people a place maybe down the street from you or something, but that was very unsafe for Jeannie to do. So I can understand why people were saying that, because Mama Mai is a whole lot. Mama Mai has a very strong personality, which is most likely where Jeannie got it from. Mama Mai is overbearing. Mama Mai knows no boundaries. So that was, if Jeannie was gonna have a person live with them, Mama Mai was not supposed to be the one. And Mama Mai, some people were saying that, well, Jeannie was going through depression and she needed somebody to help her with the baby as Jeezy was traveling or whatever. But Mama Mai didn't move in when Monaco was born. Mama Mai had been there since before the baby, since before pregnancy. So she should not have been there at all. Mama Mai is too strong of a personality and Jeannie together, that could have driven Jeezy crazy, but that's still not a reason for you to sneak a divorce on your wife. It's giving coward. It's giving spineless. Someone else said, and I agree with this, somebody said Jeannie loves that man and she give her all to that relationship. It is so true. I strongly believe that Jeannie loves Jeezy and that Jeannie went in this wholeheartedly, because you can see, like, Jeannie gives her all to, like, whatever it is that she's doing. She gives her all. Jeannie went in this with her heart, because like I said, if she was going in it not for the right reasons, she would have gotten married in LA, and she would have protected herself if she was after money, because I'm sure Jeannie knows that she was not gonna get much out of Jeezy. Oh my gosh, all these J's, all these G stuff. I know that Jeannie knows that she was not gonna get much out of Jay by marrying him in Georgia. So she really did marry this man for love, because even Jeannie said, even with the whole baby situation, Jeannie never wanted to have a child because of her past trauma, and because they worked on themselves, allegedly, according to Jeannie, they worked on themselves together prior to even getting married. She felt comfortable enough. She said she felt healed enough. She felt secure enough. She felt safe enough to have a child in that relationship with that person. And this is what you turn around and do. And all these people who want to pin the thing solely on Jeannie, I think that's very unfair. Like I said, we don't know what happens behind closed doors. These people are celebrities. But for people to like want to pin this solely on Jeannie, as if like Jeezy is like the squeaky clean person that's never done anything wrong and he's just so innocent, I think that's BS. Because there is more on Jeannie's side to show that Jeannie can commit to somebody, way more than on Jeezy's side. What does Jeezy have going for him? Jeezy had like a whole bunch of relationships, and then out of those, there's 3 of them that he fathered children with, don't have a relationship with them, barely in the kids' lives. Whereas Jeannie was in a marriage for 10 years. A lot of people were saying like Jeannie should have known better, blah, blah, blah. And I get that. I get that to a certain extent, but it's very hard to decipher a lot of the times when you're in love and someone is like saying and doing all the right things. Like, it's very difficult to I am so glad I'm not dating in this day and age, because like I would not survive. I am such a hopeless romantic, and I love. Like, I would be Jeannie. I would be a Jeannie. I would be the type to be duped so easily, because like, if you do the right things and you say the right things, I swear I am like so gone. But if you're trying to date in this day and age, you have got to date with your head and not your heart. And I'm a heart person. So I understand Jeannie a lot, and I do feel for her. The last thing I want to say is that Jeannie is contesting the marriage, and in Georgia it literally could just mean that she is like trying to drag it out so she can make it to her 3 years, or she just really wants to save this marriage. Now I will say that I would not trust any man who would go behind my back and draw up divorce papers, have him notarized, and do all that good stuff without having a conversation with me. Now, someone said Jeannie was contesting it so that she can get Jeezy to sit down with her and have a conversation. Now, if you know Jeannie, she will want a conversation, and people just did not understand why she would do something like that. But there's something called closure. Some people may be able to move on without it, and some people have a very hard time moving on without having closure. So she could be trying to get closure. Like, we're two grown adults. This is a marriage. You have a responsibility towards me to let me know what the heck is going on, where your mind's at. You cannot, as a grown married man, just go make a decision to divorce your wife without so much having so much of a conversation with her, at least out of respect. Like, you owe me a freaking explanation. We're not in grade school. You owe me an explanation. We're two adults, we're married, we have a child together. You do not just get to go draw up divorce papers and you don't talk to me. This is childish, it's stupid, it's a coward move, it's a cop out, and it's given spineless. But anyways, the last things I will say is this. There's a lot of, I don't know what the problem is with women, but women are so bitter and we attack one another, and it's like we thrive in one another's downfall, and I don't understand why. I do not understand why. It's like women were so mean in these comment sections. It's giving like bitter, like you're just bitter. Either you were divorced the same way, or you've never been married, you've never married anyone, and it shows. Like, you cannot be this bitter, like you don't even know the person. Like, at best you should be just nonchalant about the situation, but for you to be this bitter, this mean, you feel the need to exert this much of energy for you to be mean. It's just, you're bitter and you're a hater, because you should not be this mean over someone getting a divorce. Yes, I know they're celebrities. When are we going to learn? Why do we care? Whatever. I get that, but it's scary how desensitized we have become over like divorces, especially when children are involved. I know, again, they're celebrities. Nobody should care, but I hate to say it. Yes, they do scam us a lot, and they play in our faces all the time. But for the ones that are true and we don't know about, these people go through real heartbreaks. They experience real hurt and real pain. You know, if they're in love with their partners, and for them to be going through this, you get what I'm saying? And there's a child involved, and that's still a divorce. That's still something that is affecting someone's life. That is still trauma that they're going to carry with them for the rest of their lives, whether or not they made a dumb move, whether or not they were dumb in their decision making. That is still that's still a person that's being affected by something that they're gonna have now to carry for the rest of their lives, because Jeannie's worst nightmare just came true. Her worst nightmare just came true, and she would have been better off having a child with Freddie than with Jeezy. But then again, she was duped into thinking that this man, or she was blinded, or she was stupid, whatever it is that you want to call her, into thinking that Jeezy was going to be different with her than he was with all those other baby mamas that he has. But y'all need to stop being mean. Stop being bitter. You don't have to take your frustration out on Jeannie. You don't know her. You don't care. Be nonchalant about the situation, but don't exert that much energy to go hate on someone just because you're bitter. It's not because you don't know her. It's not because you don't care. It's because you're bitter. You're angry, and it shows. So stop. So yeah, that was a lot. That is going to be my longest video by far. Okay, disclaimer. If you made it this far, thank you so much for riding with me. I appreciate you. And I'm going to stop here. I don't know if I'm going to make another video about this Jeannie and Jeezy stuff going on anymore, because like I said, I'm in mourning. So I'm just going to go back to mourning, because I don't know Jeezy, but I really, really do like Jeannie. Like, Jeannie's really smart, and one thing I know about Jeannie's going to survive this, but it doesn't take away the fact that she's hard. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this matter. Do you solely blame Jeannie? Even though we don't know what's going on, I'm saying, like, let's not play the blame game. But do you think it was all Jeannie's fault, or you think that Jeezy's spineless for going about this the way that he went about it? Comment below. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I will see you guys in my next one. But until then, I hope to see you in the comment section. Bye.